Time to talk some Carolina baseball. A week and a day away from first pitch, right around this time next Friday. Sacred Heart in town on Valentine's Day. Again, we love around here. And we also appreciate the time of Coach Stuart Lake. He'll be sitting next to Derek Scott calling the action. Coach, happy baseball season. It's close enough. How you doing?
Absolutely. I'm doing good. The weather sure feels like it.
I know,
so I'm sure it'll feel like real college baseball weather by next week.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, 80 degrees on Sunday. Then I did see we get a few days in the 50s. I just looked. But, they 8 days out. They don't know. Maybe we'll get another day like this. There's so much that is new around this team. Much of it is certainly that we know about here in terms of what Coach Mainieri's doing and how he's working with Monty and the staff right now. Just a quick overview from you on the scrimmages you've seen and the energy and the feel around the ball club when there's a coaching change, and obviously not just a coaching change, but you bring in one of the greats of his generation.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I didn't get to go out in the fall as much as I would have liked. It was just a lot going on in my real job and football and different things, but have made just an effort to be there since they started back in January. And the one thing that jumps out to me is you can just tell Coach Mainieri, the staff, fundamentals are a big deal. Just really making sure that we know what we're doing, from infield defense to cutoff relays, base running. To be honest with you, I've had a laugh a few times because I've texted Coach Tanner and said, hey, I think he's got our old practice schedule because things are so similar. But that's just, that's what the elite guys do. And it's been so fun to watch and to just see the players respond and see guys looking at him when he's telling them things. And it's just been really, as a baseball guy, fun to be around.
My first question, and I know you don't have all the answers here either, but Coach Mainieri, at least this week, has talked about what the top of the rotation is going to look like with Dylan Eskew and Matthew Becker at the top. Jerzenbeck's going to get a chance. Jake McCoy is going to get a chance. I always feel like that's where I'm going to start with any baseball team is what that rotation looks like. What more are you hearing about the competition behind the 1 and 2 guys at this point?
Well, I think you go back to when Coach Mainieri did his press conference to kick off this spring. He talked about in this league, you want veterans on the field. This is an old league, and especially with what's gone on in the last few years with COVID and everything else, this is an old league, and you see it immediately. I love this. Get SQ out there on that Friday. It's going to be so much excitement. Let that veteran guy give you a start. Matthew Becker deserved to get a start on the opening weekend. Then the fun starts. I think Eli Jerzenbeck's going to be a Friday or Saturday guy when this thing shakes out. If you made me look in a crystal ball, I think Jerzenbeck will probably be on Friday, McCoy on Saturday, and Dylan Eskew probably the Sunday guy, because Matthew Becker can just do so much for you that you hate to just have him throwing maybe one day on a weekend as they get into conference play. But it'll be fun to watch this staff sort out. But I really throw those veteran guys out there that first weekend. As you and I'll talk more, there's a ton of stuff going on that opening weekend. So you sure want veteran guys to better handle all the buzz that'll be in the ballpark.
And Stuart, there's you mentioned a lot of changes, but older guys being on the team. And I think, Paul and his staff got pretty busy when it came to the transfer portal. So there's going to be a lot of new faces, especially in the lineup. What are maybe some new faces that Gamecock fans might not be familiar with right now, but will certainly become familiar with once we get this thing underway?
Well, I think the biggest thing, I've been to all the scrimmages. Nathan Hall's led off every scrimmage. So I think I'm pretty set that he's probably going to be in center field. Lexington kid, I loved him in high school. He ended up going up to Clemson, as we all know, but he's back here. I think he's going to kind of be that table setter. Henry Kazmar right behind him. Those two guys are going to be crucial. Kazmar at short. I really just hope people get out and realize I think he's going to be a special kid to really watch. He's a guy I enjoy watching, just take ground balls, turning double plays. A veteran guy transferred from Ohio State. He looks like an old Gamecock shortstop when he gets out there. Ethan Petrie, right now, the most time I see him at first base, I won't be shocked if he ends up back out in right field at some point. But those guys have got to really try to get on base for him. Kennedy Jones, this is, again, ain't nobody told me a lineup, but that guy looks like he's earned the right to maybe be that 4-hole guy through the fall, early spring. I kind of throw Talmadge LeCroy in there, the 5-hole, again, a veteran guy. I think he'll probably be the opening day catcher. I'm not sure because they've done a lot behind the plate. Nolan Naraki, I feel like he's your second baseman at least the opening weekend. I was out there the other day. Just shows power. He gives you some guys just right their juice in the middle. KJ Scobie, the freshman, they love him. He's been at third. He was out that first weekend and hurt his foot a little bit, but he's back in it. And then a guy I really like, Dalton Mayshore. I don't know if he'll start, but if they let me write one guy in, it'd probably be him because I just like the way he swings it, transfer from St. Mary's. And then Blake Jackson, we all know how hard-nosed he is. I kind of would have him in that 9 hole, and here's the reason. That bottom of the order's got to get on base too. And I talked a lot about the top getting on for Ethan, but the bottom's important because you want Ethan Petrie to get 4 bats in a game. And if those guys are getting on base, those at bats start adding it up, and that's when it really becomes a tough offense.
Talking to Stuart Lake, he and Derek, of course, will be the play-by-play team for Carolina baseball all season long. First pitch opening day next Friday, and we'll have it for you. Coach, you let me take you back to the defense and blend in Ethan and Kennedy with that. You mentioned Ethan could move back to right field. Kennedy might split some time with DH or left field. What are you seeing with Ethan at first base? How much of his movement might be what he does there? Is there someone else that is pushing him defensively? And I'm really talking defense more than anything else right now, not their bats. The bats we know about. But from a defense, you mentioned the fundamentals and the defense being really important to Paul and Monty and what they want to do. So give us your take on how the defense could affect the lineup.
Well, I think the big thing now, the reason you want to try to get a Petrie at first is because of that veteran outfield. And I think they're trying to find a way to make sure they could get the Blake Jacksons and find a way to get all these guys. Kennedy Jones, I hadn't even named Evan Stone, one of my favorite guys. So there is a veteran outfield. But defense is going to be important to Coach Mainieri. He made a comment that I just love. He says it all the time. I hear him say it. Our season is going to be defined by 1- and 2-run games. Well, that means defense. And if Ethan continues to progress, I think you're going to see him a lot at first. But Coach has already mentioned the freshman Bo Hollins, who could be a defensive kind of guy late in the game. I love Will Tippett when I get to see him over at first base, another guy we hadn't even mentioned yet. So I think there are things that could move Ethan back to right field that might not be his own not getting better because there's some guys that could do it. But right now, I do feel like if we play tomorrow that he's going to be at first base from everything I've seen.
And I'm sure you've seen, Stuart, yesterday the SEC baseball coaches had their preseason poll and projected order of finish, and South Carolina sitting at 14 right now. What's maybe one thing that you think the other SEC coaches might be forgetting as it pertains to South Carolina and why they could finish higher than 14th?
Well, I think they probably go initially, you look at the draft, lost some really good players with Cole and different guys. And then these other teams, are just so loaded. I don't think that was an insult. I know if I were in the locker room, just like I know the coaches are, I'd be using it as one to motivate. I don't really think that was an insult. This is a conference that may be pushing this year for 13 or who knows how many more teams in regionals. I think right now 12 would not be anybody would even blink if you said we're going to make a regional. So I just think it's unknown. People not really sure of our pitching, which I think we're going to be learning it too over the first few weeks. And then just who can surround an Ethan Petrie. And I think that's why you kind of see it coming in where they did. But, again, I don't take that as any insult. The great thing about our game, those polls don't mean anything. It's going to mean everything when you get to play each other as those 10 weeks, break down.
We'll talk a lot of baseball with you through the year, but last thing for you today, real quick, how cool is it going to be to have the official Ray Tanner Field ceremony next weekend?
I could have talked the whole 50 with you. They kind of turned it over to me, and I got Kyle Lipsy involved. And, we've got over 300 ticket requests just from our alumni and their families. We've got almost 20 some guys flying in here just for that. So to get to see the guys from really that 1997 team all the way to 2012, it's been so fun to reconnect. And a lot of great guys won't be here. Adam Everett is in the minor league system, so he can't leave spring training. Michael Roth, they had a family trip planned, so there'll be some key pieces not here, but it is going to be so cool. And when that's unveiled, just to really look at him and know how he earned it.
Good stuff as always, man. We appreciate you. Great to have you back on. We'll do it a lot through the year. Have fun.
Thank you. I'll enjoy it.
You
Talk
bet.
to you soon.
That's Coach Stuart Lake. Again, he and Derek, play-by-play team for Carolina baseball all season long.